he's taking off next Sunday. Why? Well, the Washington gridlock over health. House Press Secretary Dana Perino joins us live. Big mistake or smart politics?
Smart politics. I don't think it's a big mistake. Unless, of course, it turns out like the Olympics. Like, remember, he had the big trip over to Denmark and then doesn't end up getting the Olympics. I don't think ultimately that they get the health care bill, but I do think it's smart politics.
So then it's Copenhagen all over. If you say you don't think he's going to ultimately get it's smart politics if they get the vote.
Well, either way, okay, if he had left and the Democrats were floundering and they don't get the bill done, then all of them could blame him for being out of the country at the time when they needed him most.
Oh,
so it's smart politics for him either way.
He loses either way if the bill goes down. He wins profoundly.
At least he won't. Yeah, he'll lose less badly. At least from the Democrats, he'll be able to say to them, "I canceled my trip, or I postponed my trip. I was here to," as I said today, you know, they quoted themselves saying twisting arms. Too bad their legislation isn't persuasive enough to get people to want to vote for it, that they have to resort to those type of tactics. But I think at the end of the day, it was a smart thing to leave. Because let me just tell you, like, when I was working for President Bush, whenever you leave the country, there's all sorts of things that are happening back here in the United States that you have to try to deal with.
But isn't the, I mean, the Air Force is the White House.
You can try, but if you're 14 hours ahead and you're, or 12 to 14 hours ahead, and you're trying to deal with things back here, and you're not here at the nerve center, then you could be missing something. And this, to him, this is, look, he's put it all on red. And if he were to leave the country and not see this through, I think that the Democrats would have a lot to complain about.
Right. Now, we see him entertain, like, the Hispanic caucus last night, and he's talked to a number of other Democrats. Is it too late? I mean, should he have been doing this weeks ago?
Maybe months ago, right? I think that the whole play, I do think that we will look back on this as people interested in policy and politics as to how not to try to get legislation passed. They could have tried to bring on Republicans months ago. They waited too long. Then they had the health care summit, and it's a farce. And now they have a bill where 3-1, the American people are against it. The intensity of the numbers of people who strongly oppose it have got to be very worrying. And even today, I saw one of the Hispanic members decided that they are going to vote no on the bill.
He's joining us in just a few minutes.
Oh, good.
And so the viewers will get to hear exactly why he's voting as he is. When you say that he's twisting arms, what do you? I mean, I realize we're not in the Oval Office, we're not watching, but what do presidents do to twist arms?
Well, I think that one, this is our only chance. This is the chance for our party. We've got to do this. And so there's something persuasive, and he's a persuasive guy.
What if the answer is, well, that's great for you to say. You have a 4-year term. I have a 2-year term. I'm up in November.
Yeah,
how persuasive can that be?
It's hard to say that to the President of the United States. But the other thing, the way that they twist arms is to also, twist with one hand, but also to give a handout with the other. And that's how you ended up with the backroom deals with the Cornhusker kickback and the Louisiana Purchase and all the backroom deals that made this so despicable in the first place.
You know, I would think that if you are a popular president in a particular district, one of the things that I would think it might be worth offering up is I'll come campaign for you.
Sure. So he tried that this week in Missouri, and several of the members of Congress decided not to be with him. It's really early in the presidency for that to be happening. It did happen to President Bush on a couple of stops, especially in that 2006 year and 2008. Remember, all the press talked about how little he campaigned. He did what he needed to do in the districts that he could, but at the end of the day, if you are a 14-month president and you already have members of your own party not wanting to be seen with you because of your major piece of legislation, you have depleted your capital.
Is this a huge plus for him if health care passes? I mean, does that sort of, redeem him for any other sort of missteps he might have or might have in the future?
The Gallup poll today had him at his lowest numbers ever. I don't think that ramming through unpopular legislation is a formula for improving your leadership numbers. And I don't know where they go from here. I don't see how he ever gets back up to 50% at a sustainable level.
And so it's so damned if you do and damned if you don't for him. He needs to figure some way out of this.
Well, I think the one thing that they could have done, and they could still do it, is to pull back and say, okay, America, we hear you. Let's take these 5 pieces. Let me get the Republicans together. Let's try to get something done. And let's also move on and start talking about jobs in America again.
Or if the legislation, for whatever reason, turned out to be hugely popular and successful if it's passed.
Well,
you don't anticipate that, but I mean, that's the other way out of this ditch for him.
And when would we ever know that, right? People are going to be taxed for the next several years and not see benefits for 4 to 5 years after that. And nobody, if 41% of the people who oppose the bill strongly oppose it, and your numbers are at 62% or something like that in America that don't even want this bill, I don't see how it becomes popular. Maybe they're right? Like Nancy Pelosi said this week, we have to pass it in order for you to understand what's in it.
I think she probably wants a do-over on that.
Yeah, I would say that the Democrats would like to do over this entire week. You just wipe it clean. I used to say at the White House every Friday night, next week has got to be better than this one, and it rarely is in Washington.
But sometimes things can only be up when you hit the bottom. Anyway, Dana, thank you. Speaker Pelosi